Yeah, Prophet Marshall Occurrence back at it. Prophet Marshall Occurrence. So this video is going to be about who are we subject to in in the world, and I'm just go from there, and we're going to be talking about with that being said, we're not subject to these police. The only way you're subject to the police in in the real world, because they part of the gang stalkers. That's what we're gonna be talking about. We're not subject to the police unless we broke a crime, did a crime that they could prove that they had enough probable cause to prove that we did, or they think we did. But just to be subject to the police and subject to whatever they want to do, that's the entitlement that the police been given to go around and play with people, investigate people, and play games with people. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't no secret that they're part of the gang stalkers. If you don't know, you know now. They are part of the gang stalkers, the police. The American police is part. I don't know about no other country. Because it's gang stalking in the islands. I at least know it's in the islands. You know what I'm saying? Down there in the islands and stuff, they gang stalking down there. You know what I'm saying? So, but the police in America is the enemy, the gang stalkers. They made themselves that way. It ain't because we hate cops. They tried to hate us, but it didn't work. Okay, and they wind up looking like clowns. See, I told y'all a long time ago, these cops, man, just because they cops don't mean they got it all together. That means as a good person, that means as far as how they treat their own family and how they treat us. And so I humanize, not demonize, I humanize first these cops. And I know, they're not perfect. You got dirty cops get involved in these street politics, out here in these politics. You know what I'm saying? And they get more involved than they should be. You know what I'm saying? They I'm gonna tell you that from experience. They get involved with these politics more than they should be involved. And if they ain't got the goods as far as street principles and principles of men and women, they gonna fall off just like everybody else. They gonna succumb to their wounds like lames do all the time. They gonna succumb to their wounds, to their character and their manhood, and we ain't gonna save them. Especially if you came out here playing games with people and you was unprofessional in unprofessional positions as police. We ain't gonna give you no pass for that. No. I'm talking about the ones out here active, these patrolling police. It needs to be said, bro. It needs to be said because, even the government and the community would give them a pass to ride around and just do what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? And let them do things at their own discretion. I don't let cops play with me at their own discretion. So I'm not subject to the police unless they have a crime. If they don't have a crime, I'm not subject to no police and just whatever they want to do. That's how this stuff got out of hand in the first place. These cops are just doing what they want to do. That's the truth. That's how it got out of hand. And they've been doing that. That lets you know they've been doing it. How easy they played with us and gang stalked Christians and played around Christians, investigated Christians. Because pay attention, the cops is all out there in the streets, all in your footsteps. It's not abnormal. They in your footsteps. And they feel, and they got like they can just be entitled to stuff because of whatever they heard or whatever their source was. They felt they can just be in your footsteps. You know what I'm saying? And I don't feel that way. I feel like you gotta have way more than enough evidence than ignorant hearsay that you get from the streets. And that's how we know most of them young and they lame, because a real man and a real woman is gonna go by principles. Okay, if you play the game, listen. I'm no amateur. I am no amateur by no stretch of the imagination. The police is always playing games. You know what I'm saying? And they're out here these days in 2026. They're in our politics. You know what I'm saying? They all in the politics of the streets, and the only politics you should be involved in is that deals with people that you have enough evidence on as far as doing crimes. If you ain't got no evidence on a person, you shouldn't be in their politics. That's how professional you should be. But see, people want to be in the streets. You got to remember, you got a younger generation of cops coming up. So the old school cops back in the 80s, the 90s that interacted with the community and helped kids stay in school and tried to go out their way to really help the community, that's gone, bro. That's gone. That's gone. And some people can't keep up. Them cops are either out off the beat and doing something else in the precincts, or they're retired. Now there's a new breed of cops that needs to be talked about too. And most of them are late 30s and down, which means they are younger than me. Most cops are younger than me. Now, I can't explain why all of them look old, you know, but it's just something about them. They all look old, don't they? But if you check their age, man, they be in their 30s and down, bro. Late 30s. Okay? They be in their 30s and down. Just like the cop that got killed here in the summertime in New York. He was in his 30s. He was in his 30s, man. I'm not in my 30s. I'm in my 40s. You know what I'm saying? And my point is, I'm in a different age bracket, and I don't care if you're police. I don't care if you're military. If in most cases, if you're a little younger than somebody that's older than you, they're gonna have some information you don't have. In many cases, they're gonna have more experience with life, and more wisdom in life, and more discretion. Okay, so I'm not a 20-year-old kid. You know, that's what these cops gotta understand. I'm older than half of y'all. You know what I'm saying? If you're in your late 30s or you're in 30s and you're a cop, I'm older than you. Now, am I old enough to be your father? Probably not in most cases, but I'm older than you. Okay, and that has to be understood, because at my age, you know, I don't subject myself to the police. I don't subject myself to these the authorities out here in the streets, you know, that will sit back and just play the games they want to play. And, you know, they want to be cool these days. These police want to be cool these days. You got to always know what you're dealing with. When it comes to humans, you got to know what psychology you're dealing with. These people want to be cool out here in the streets. The new cop breed want to be cool out in the streets, right? So that's how they move. They network and they talk to these whoever they can talk to in the streets, and especially if it's lames, they're gonna be talking to the lames all in the streets. You know, and that's the truth. They ain't gonna be really talking to the real ones out in the streets. They're gonna be talking to the lames out in the streets, bro. And my thing is this, man. Like I said, if you don't have a charge, if you don't, and you know, God is gonna take care of it. This is the bottom line, because they'll say they're just gonna do what they want to do. If you are a cop, and you're playing with God's people, God's gonna take care of you personally. I'm telling you right now, that's the season we going into in 2026, because playtime is over. They done seen us enough. They know what we about. It ain't no ongoing game for life for you to see who we are, because nobody's that important. Not me, not the next man. See how it's flipped around, that you're not even that important to be investigated that much. Not humanly speaking, not far as who you are in your as a human being. Nobody's that important for them to be still playing with you. That's what I'm saying. You don't let people play with you, and you know, and you're a grown man. You got to start speaking up for yourself as a grown man. And see, that's where it gets tricky with these wars out here as Christians. You know what I'm saying? The art of being a Christian and being an adult at the same time with these people out, these police and all of that. You know, you can be a good man and be a man at the same time and stand your ground as a man. You know, they used to everybody bound down because people got stuff to hide. And you know, the streets got stuff to hide. So they used to, even some of the most hardened criminals kind of just bowing down to a certain degree because they got something to hide. And then you find Christians don't have nothing to hide. And they're looking you right in your face and they're more bold and confident when it comes to the police because I don't have anything to hide. You know what I'm saying? I don't have any major crimes and major things and schemes that I'm doing. So I don't have nothing in my heart and soul that I gotta duck off from the police. You know? And they're used to that. They're used to people bowing down to them because you got something to hide. You know what I'm saying? That's how they stay above us and they keep their foot on our neck because you know you got something to hide. You just trying to get past the police. You know what I'm saying? When you see them in public, you know you got something to hide, so you just kind of halfway trying to be cool with them to get by them. You know what I'm saying? And then you find somebody that really ain't got nothing to hide. You know, I'm gonna be bold. I'm gonna carry myself where I see you, but I don't see you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they hate. They hate when you ain't really got nothing to hide. And now I can see you as a man or I see you as a woman. And when I see you, I don't see you because I don't need you. You know what I'm saying? If I don't need you, I don't see you when it comes to the police. But see, some people, they want to be acknowledged for their position. You know what I'm saying? In arrogance. Where we don't even need them and they want to be acknowledged. You know, it ain't going to work. See, they got to realize, man, most people, especially in America, do not want to acknowledge the police until they need them. That's it. And you can't even be mad at that because really, you're you're a community service person. You serve the community, so most people gonna just treat you like that. You know, I need you when I need you. I don't see you when I don't need you. Like that. Not walking along with you. Nah. Not acknowledging you when I see you in public. Nah. And they already know that anyway. They know nobody ain't acknowledging them until they need them. And that's that. And some people don't even do it then. They don't even acknowledge you when they need you. So, you know, that's just like, you know, they got their feet on our necks when we do something wrong. But once we get free, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't acknowledge the police. Because I don't need them. And I don't affiliate with them, you know, outside of needing them for a certain service. Some people affiliate themselves with the police without needing them for a certain service. I'm not one of those people. I don't affiliate myself with the police when I outside of needing them for a service. And you got them type of people in our community too. For whatever reason, man, you know, they just in cahoots with the police, but I can show you how the police is doing everything that they talking about. Whatever they investigating, I can show you how the police is most likely doing it. Or have done it in the past. You know, so, you know, you start losing respect, you know what I'm saying? And that's understandable. Keep in mind all them random shootings that they doing too. These random shootings where they killing people. You know, keep that in mind too. All these random shootings. You know, all these random shootings, man. So I'm gonna give you a story. Back in 2020, what was that? That was 2023. Yeah, August 2023. See, I remember dates and everything. So, like, I'm on Northern Boulevard in Queens, right? So I'm trying to pay my phone bill, right? And so the store that I thought would be open is closed. So I'm like just wandering around for another store because some stores, when you're in reasonable time, one might close early and the other one might be open somewhere else. So one of my phone stores closed. The main one I used to go to on Northern Boulevard was closed. So I'm like headed in Queens towards Roosevelt to see if, from Northern Boulevard in Queens, to see if another store is open. So on my way, I might have been like probably like between 5 or 8 blocks away from walking away from the other store, the main store. So as I'm walking, the police in a car, mind you, put yourself in the mind of being gang stalked, right? So this is why I'm like I am presently with the cops. So I'm walking down Northern Boulevard, probably like 5 to 8 blocks away from the store I just came from. This is summertime. It's like August, right? So it's still daytime outside, right? And yeah, I think it's still day, barely, and so a cop was in the street, right? Because keep in mind, even though this is New York, the streets at this time is not busy. This is Queens, so it's kind of laid back, as far as congestion, as far as traffic. It's not that congested. So this cop is just riding down the street, and he stops. You know how cops stop side by side, car by car, and talk to each other over into the other person's car, right? So he stopped by this other guy's car and was saying, yeah, that's a pedophile or something like that. Like after I passed him, I'm on the same block as him. I done just went past, I'm on the same block, 5 or 8 blocks away from the first phone store. So he passed me by, I'm going like this, and the cop slows down after he passed me with another car, and they're talking, and I can hear the conversation, right? So I'm like, so I think I said something like, yeah, they couldn't prove it, they couldn't, something like that. So I said something out into the air over there where they was at, and kept walking, right? But that shows me that they're in these politics. That's all I needed to see. That definitely was a cop car, and he definitely was talking about these politics that the Freemasons been carrying around, and these secret societies and these butthurt Americans been carrying around. So that's why I presently, from this time, what's that, 2 years ago? I presently don't deal with the cops no more. I never did. Outside of the service that I need them for, this affiliation and this alliance and this loyalty or anything, that was nothing like that. Some people have them oaths these days, especially young people. You'll be surprised how many young people, even black people, that got these oaths to be with the police, and they think they're doing the right thing. And that part, you know what I'm saying? And you'll be surprised how many young people hold these oaths within themselves to think they form their own world views, in these new times that the police are the ones out here fighting the crime. It's easy to come to that conclusion at face value until you really know what they're doing, until you really know how they're moving. And you learn the hard way, or you see somebody in your family and now you're offended, you know what I'm saying? But you'll step out here as a young baby bird. As a young baby bird, you step out here and you thinking, I'm going to be affiliated with the police until you learn the hard way. That they're just like you. They're just a human being in uniform, that's it. And that's how you really need to hear it. They're just human beings in a uniform, buddy. And they gonna be tempted to do things with their power that you would be surprised that they do. They succumb to temptation. They succumb to temptations in their power that you would be surprised that they succumb to. Okay, that you might not would even succumb to. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's why I presently feel the way I do about the police. Just in case you don't know. Because I caught them, ironically, August 2023. And since then, since I heard the police in my politics, you know what I'm saying, going along with these things that people couldn't prove about me for fun, or for ignorant reasons. I'm put it like that, for fun and ignorant reasons. Cause it's a combination of both with this gang stalking. It's not just because of what they heard. They having fun playing games. How I put it is, nobody does for long term something they don't enjoy. They gotta enjoy this kind of stuff. Yeah, they got to. They gotta enjoy this kind of stuff. Nobody does anything long term that they don't enjoy. Okay, so to a certain degree, they enjoy doing this. You know what I'm saying? That's that. So that's all I need to see. So that's why I'm in spiritual warfare with the police. I'm in spiritual warfare with them. Yes, I am. I fast against the police. I definitely do. Because if you black and you in these politics, they gonna play with your name, they gonna play with your game, they gonna play with your life. They gonna play with psychological games. They got the telepath cops, they got the psychic cops, whatever you want to call them. These mind reading cops. Okay, and they ain't gotta tell me to catch up to the times. I'm already caught up to the times. I've been too deep in the streets. I've been homeless too many times to not know what America is doing. Because when you're homeless and you pay attention, you're gonna see all they doing in the community and the grid of the community. You're going to see what they're doing in the grid of the community. The grid. You know what I'm saying? You're going to see it. You're going to see it as a street intuitive person using your intuition. You're going to see all that they're doing. You know what I'm saying? All of them. All of America. And they're part of it. Police is definitely part of the gang stalking and the surveillance, the unnecessary surveillance on the grid of America. So that's why I don't have no respect for him. It's not like some delinquent mentality with me where I just hate the cops for no apparent reason. You know what I'm saying? I can give you stories. I can give you more than one story. But that one right there is pretty solid, where they was out there on the street, you know what I'm saying, discussing me loud, talking about, yeah, that's a pedophile. Like this, like, yeah. There's nobody else around. Remind you, this is Queens, so it's not Manhattan. So somebody that's not from New York would think all the streets of New York is like Manhattan, like congested and so you would think if you ain't never lived in New York, that, oh, he could have been talking to anybody. In your mind, you thinking all these people are around. There's nobody around. I'm the only person. I'm smart enough to know and look around if I see other people that it could have been pertaining to them, but it was no one else around. It only pertains, so I looked around and estimated that it only could pertain to me. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, but I said my piece on site when that was said, I said what I needed to say, because, with me and the police, listen, I always say what I gotta say. I don't become no boy for no police. And they know who the real is because of that factor. The real people don't let the police just play with me and talk to me and deal with me any kind of way. It don't matter if they're a threat or not. I don't care. I don't care who they affiliated with the Freemasons or whatever else. They got a gun on them or whatever else. I don't care about that. Okay? I don't care about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say what I need to say as a man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give my respect, you know what I'm saying, as a man. I'm gonna say what I gotta say as a man, and and if I'm right, even if you don't respect it, listen, I'm winning. I won. Police are the ones that start, they're the main part of this gang stalking. So I'm like, if you want to call out names, because a lot of people talk about the gang stalking, but now these days, kind of people done trailed off with who it is. I done that to a certain degree myself as far as the secret society go, but I don't think we could ever stop saying that the police is involved. I don't think nobody ever really said it like that. Not consistently, you know what I'm saying? But they are. They the main ones part of it. The Freemason police. The Freemason police is the main ones that's doing all this footwork as far as the gang stalking goes. They doing it ain't all the cops, it's the Freemason cops. See the difference? And if you go look it up, you can see all, Freemasons are, police is all in the Freemason community. So who you think they gonna use? If they using the Freemasons against you, they gonna use Freemason police. That's common sense. That's all it is. So see, me, I'm not paranoid at all. I'm not schizophrenic at all, or nothing wrong at all. I know exactly what I'm talking about. See, the one thing about being here in America, once you get to the level of understanding conspiracy, even as a soldier, there's people that haven't passed over those thresholds intellectually in their mind, so they never became aware of secret conspiracies in the world of conspiracies. Not the world of conspiracy theories, the world of scheming and conspiracies, and they don't know how to connect with it and see it and know where it's at and know where it's at and believe it. You know what I'm saying? So they doubt it. A civilian will doubt conspiracy. They'll doubt they're being followed. They'll doubt they're being watched, while someone that is a soldier, intellectually, a militant-minded soldier, I'm gonna use discretion. I'm gonna use my intuition, and it is what it is. It ain't me being paranoid. It is what it is. Just no more than differently than you being out in the streets, and let's just say you doing whatever you do in the streets, you hustling in the streets. You gonna know when people in your footsteps. It ain't being paranoid. You get a niche for it. You know what I'm saying? You gonna know a streetwise person is gonna know when people is in his politics as well. You gonna hear it. You gonna hear the chatter. You gonna watch around and look, and you gonna see the patterns, and you ain't gonna question yourself as if you tripping or you paranoid or nothing like that. So street people or militant-minded people are gonna be the ones that believe in conspiracy more than anybody else. If I take them type of people and show them other things and more conspiracy, you're gonna believe in that. You're gonna believe in it because you're already aware to a certain degree of the element of conspiracy. See, they only can manipulate and play with the minds of people that really ain't in the streets. If you in the streets or you ever been in the streets, you understand conspiracy. Or if you ever been in prison. If you ever been in the streets or in prison, or you really been in a bad neighborhood, even that too. Even if you ain't directly connected to conspiracy, if you lived in a real bad neighborhood, you still understand people plotting and scheming. You understand that how real that is. You ain't gonna just think, oh, I'm tripping, I'm paranoid, because you done seen it too many times. In your own family or in your friends or whatever, you done seen people scheme and plot. And you got all kind of stories in history from being in your neighborhood in America somewhere, in one of these bad neighborhoods, about plotting and scheming. So you ain't gonna second guess it, right? Now, they can't play with you and gaslight you and make you feel like you tripping because you done seen conspiracy on your level. Now you take that to the next level or into different geographics, and you see these police scheming. You see them, you see them you see them doing the same thing that the streets do. You know what I'm saying? And so you're aware of it. You're aware of how dirty these people are and everything. They can only manipulate people that ain't from the streets, because you ain't gonna believe in the element of scheming that it goes this far. That's what's gonna mess with your mind. Nah, it can't be going that far. It can't be that bad. It can't be that deep. Yes, it is. It's that deep. But the good news is we winning. You know what I'm saying? That's the good news. And they know we winning. You know what I'm saying? That's the good news. Because they lames. They came out here and played the game, you know what I'm saying, scheming and everything like the streets. And we picked up on it with our intuition. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, come on, just use your intuition. It's just, you can tell that it's off. You know what I'm saying? But see, they kind of when it comes to the streets and the conspiracy and everything, they kind of robotic with it. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got no real flavor with it. So you can easily detect it. You know, it's easy to detect for me. You know, because us as a people, as black people, we got plenty of game. You know, we understand game. You know what I'm saying? And you know. Compared up against that, you know, that's easy. That stick out to me. All the sound campaigns, all the random sound campaigns when you based on synchronicity. Whenever you're in your synchronicity, you gotta understand the element of synchronicity. Synchronicity is the timing of things. When you're militant minded, or you even got street intuition or street wisdom, you understand the element of synchronicity. Synchronicity is how things line up, the timing of things, how you going outside and the police right out there, or these gang stalkers are right out there. That's synchronicity. Them lining up with your timing. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you use your intuition, not paranoia. You see the same pattern, people lining up with your timing, saying certain things, and you can tell that they're lined up with your synchronicity, with your timing, while you're navigating. When you go in the store, when you go outside the store, you see these people in your timing, in your lane. That's understanding synchronicity. So you'll see the cops, even when you in your house or whatever, you'll see them lining up with your synchronicity when you walking from room to room. And then now you're hearing sirens and everything as you go from room to room, back and forth. That lets you know they got telepaths, psychics, mind reading psychics, police. They always had the psychic police. They've always believed in this element of intuition, I guess you could say, or these elements of divination and spirituality. Because you think about it, a cop is going to go by discretion and intuition, hunches. To be on the beat, you got to have these hunches, you know what I'm saying, with criminals and things like that. They're gonna go by that, and then they're going to try to take that to the next level with these hunches and intuition, with what they do as far as the operations they got with using mind readers and telepaths, or psychics, what you call psychics. What I call telepaths, more accurately. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't really know if they one and the same. A telepath and a psychic, I don't know if that's really one and the same, but the bottom line is they using a combination of both. These psychics that come up and look on a crime scene and try to get clues and things like that, and then the telepaths that's running around reading people's mind. You ain't tripping. See, I done went through it too long for them to tell me it ain't true. I know it's true. You know, see, what they doubted is my intuition from the streets. You know, if you doubt me from the streets, you're gonna doubt my intuition. You know what I'm saying? If you live see, there's more than one way to understand street people. Street people have intuition. They got hunches, right? And some people are better at it than others, you know? Some people know what they're doing and some people don't. Some people just get thrown at situations with these preconceived assumptions that you've been given by the politics. So you coming in thinking like that anyway against a person. So it's going to be more easy for you to be inclined to think based on what you heard that things are true, than what you pick up on. But the person could be going through people throwing tests at the person's head and you picking up on that, but you misread it. Because it's other operations that they're not telling you that's going on. But they put you in the vicinity just to read minds, but they're not telling you all the other operations and triggers they trying to trigger this person. So you misread it because it's too much going on. Intellectually, psychologically, better to say, it's too much going on for you to read the situation. But they slap you into the situation hoping that you catch a person slipping intellectually, and I'm not going to be caught slipping. You know what I'm saying? So see, in a nutshell, that's really having your ear to the streets in 2026, man. All these people using mind readers and telepaths, and the streets gonna pick up on it. They think we too stupid to pick up on that kind of stuff. That's what it is. They think we too stupid as black people and street people to pick up on these subjects that we ain't never really studied. You feel me? They think we don't know nothing about it, and we wouldn't be able to talk about it intelligently. And then you see somebody with street intuition talks about it intelligently. You know what I'm saying? That's what they doing. They using mind readers and all of that. People that read people's mind. And they ride by your house, and your house is like a brain. Your house or room represents a brain, right? Because your mind is in the house. So all they got to do is look at the house or the room or apartment that you live in as a brain and read the atmosphere and see what they can get out of it. That's what they've been doing. That's what they've been doing. I've seen it too many times. Like I said, for people that have intuition from the times that they was in the streets or or they just got around black people, and I'm not saying this in an offensive way, and they got around the community and they just learned the lingo of intuition, from the people you've been around, your counterparts, your comrades. Your comrades taught you intuition, and that's how you know street people. Street people ain't just violence. I can show you violent white people. I can show you violent white people that got guns and everything else, but ain't got no intuition. That ain't no street person. That ain't we've been selling the package that it's all about violence. That's what make us. That's how you know who 100. That's not for me. I'm gonna check your street wisdom. How you talk and how you deal with street politics and scheming and people scheming and all of that. That's the best. The best gonna see all this stuff going on. And you ain't gonna be able to make me feel I'm paranoid. You ain't gonna be able to make me feel, because I done seen the patterns too long. Okay? Real street people come with real intuition. That's it. Real hunches. They know what they know, but some are better at it than others for various different reasons. Like, if I know, for example, let's just say I'm on the outside and I got street intuition, right? I'm an intuitive person. I got intuition just as good as a woman, just as good as anybody else. My intuition is just as good, right? Because people always talk about a woman's intuition. Well, hey, if you've been in the streets, your intuition gonna be just as good as a woman's, right? Okay, so if I seen that you was gang stalked and with using my intuition, I'ma already know some factors that amateurs might not know. First of all, you might be a little stir crazy from all that you've been through. So I'm not gonna be able to get a good read on you because you done been through too much. See, that's my level of street wisdom and intuition. I know that if I find that they gang stalked you more than a year or two, then you gonna be a whole different animal than somebody that I just read, on the streets. You're gonna be a person that is self-conscious, overly self-conscious, making you feeling like you did something that you didn't do because of all the investigations and all the games that they playing. So see, a lot of street people or even psychics and telepaths, they can't talk on those levels because see, I'm using my goods that I already had in this field. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm a little more advanced with reading people than they are. I'm gonna consider more elements than they consider. I'm gonna consider more dynamics and components than they consider. Cause if you've been gang stalked for over 2 or 3 years, I'm gonna say I can't read this person because he could be crazy at this point. You could have drove this person crazy. You don't read him so much, him or her so much that you ain't gonna get a good read on this person because this person is gonna be. I'm gonna tell you why. This person is gonna be self-conscious, too overly aware of self, where it looks like they're incriminating themselves, but they're not doing anything. But they're overly self-conscious because they're a human being, a civilian. They're not a soldier. See, once you become a soldier, or if it's presented to you as a soldier, you're gonna be less self-conscious. But if you're a civilian and these people are questioning your integrity and you don't know what they're doing, you're gonna be overly. The first thing is you're gonna be overly self-conscious. You're gonna be overly aware of self. Self-conscious is like you overly aware of yourself. Like, am I doing something wrong? Am I like that? Did I do this wrong? Did I do that wrong? Was I doing that wrong? Did I look at this person the wrong way? Did I look at this children the wrong way? You know you're not doing nothing, but you're just overly self-conscious, and it makes you look guilty. So in that case, I would say, I can't read this person because y'all, it's not fair for me to do it because y'all done played with him so long, him or her. They could, first of all, they could be crazy. You could have. That's the bad part about this. You could have drove this person crazy, right? where they just now bugged out. Okay, this is what they don't consider. Number two, you could this person could be overly self-conscious, which is not the same thing as going crazy. You could be overly self-conscious, overly aware of self. And most human beings that have a conscience and is a good human being, you gonna have some level of self-conscious because you're a good person. So a good person, especially a nice person, you're going to be overly self-conscious to where it almost look like you incriminating yourself, but you're not. You're just a good person, and you want to make sure you're thinking the right way, and you're overly self-conscious about it. And for an amateur, they're going to read that as guilty, and it's not guilty. This person is just a good person. So now that their integrity is being questioned, they're self-conscious. They're overly self-conscious, like they haywire all the time. You know what I'm saying? And another thing, even though they might not, being crazy or being self-conscious is not one and the same, a person that's self-conscious could go haywire and just be overly self-conscious everywhere, even though they ain't went crazy, but they just overly self-conscious. Especially once it's one element that they overly self-conscious about, which is like, let's just say, for instance, pedophilia. So if you gang stalking somebody and investigating them about pedophilia, right? Eventually, with the gang stalking, the person is going to be overly self-conscious around children. They're going to be overly self-conscious around children to where you can't get a good read on them because they're overly, as a good person, they're too careful. But that's a sign of a good person. See, that's how advanced I am. That's a sign of a pure person, because you want to be, you're a good person, and you want to make sure you're doing things the right way, which kind of make you look self-conscious and awkward. And for an amateur, that looks guilty, but it's not. You know what I'm saying? See, that's the difference. See, once a black man comes, and I'm not being racist, but once a black man comes into any subject, we gonna be the best at it. You want to talk about psychology, telepaths, mind readers? The black man he gonna explain it so good, like soul food, that you can't deny what he talking about. I don't know. I just can't say why we the only ones, why we wind up doing that. But anything we touch turns to gold. Not just the sports, it's an ongoing reality of understanding that any sports we get in, it turns to gold. We make it better than what it was, whether it's tennis, whether there's golf, no matter what it is. Anything. And this is no exception. If you pull me into psychological war, I'm going to be the best. As a black man, I'm going to tell you everything they doing. All this psychological stuff they doing, man. The people that they've done it against for so long, X amount of time, they done it so long, you ain't gonna get no good read off this person. You ain't gonna really find this person to be a pedophile because they're too aware of it. They're too aware of it, and now it's not gonna really identify them for who they are, because now it's done went on so much that they're overly self-conscious. It's the truth. It's not guilty. You're overly self-conscious about what they've been doing. You know what I'm saying? So let's say, okay, like I said, they saying you're a pedophile, right? But you're a good person. You wouldn't dare touch a child, right? But you start seeing these operations against your mind, and your intuition remind you. Let's just say you're a street person. So you got street intuition. You got you're intuitive as far as the streets go. Okay, so you're going to start noticing that your intuition going to tell you, they using children against me. They keep using children in public. They using children at the stores. They using children at the grocery stores. You start noticing the pattern. You don't say it right away. See, they'll play it like they almost insinuate like you've concluded this right away. No, I explained that part too. I didn't conclude this right away. This didn't become my perspective of the police and the people like them right away, what I seen was that with time, that you kept putting children in my path and you didn't think I had any intuition. See, the police is the only one think they got intuition. They the only one think they got this intuitive power to see things for what they are. They think they're the only ones that got it. That's the arrogance of these people, and people like them. And people with them. They think they're the only ones that got it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the folly and mistakes that they make. You know, that's the folly that they make. That's the folly of their decisions. You know, acting like they're the only ones that got it. Now they realize the streets got it. We always had it. In order to see what's going on, to know what things, you know, to know what's real and to see what's real, you know. And so most young black dudes start dealing with intuition as soon as they start getting in the streets a little bit and selling a little crack. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know who your homies are. You know, you don't know who to trust. You know what I'm saying? And that's when you start using intuition. That's when you understand being intuitive. Right then, you get robbed. I done been robbed a couple times. One time at gunpoint, I done had somebody pull a gun on me and rob me. You know what I'm saying? So then that's when, and I was like, what, 16? 15, late 15, early 16 or something like that, basically. Early 16 for sure. You know, and so when you start going through real life, only people in the streets can tell you this. When you start going through real life, unbelievable occurrences, that's unbelievable, it turns your mind out to now you believe in stuff that people don't believe in because they ain't never really seen it happen. You know what I'm saying? They ain't really seen nobody just do crimes out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? They ain't been on crime time, what I call crime time, themselves, or they never been a victim of a crime like this unbelievable stuff is happening to you. So they don't know how it really feels to be in crime or on crime time, what I call it. So then when you start dealing with that a little bit, crime time and these different realities that know, because a criminal is a conspiring person. They conspire to do crimes. Back to conspiracy. So we understand doing things that people don't think you would do, or things that people wouldn't think you to do, you doing them. It's this underworld of people doing stuff that people don't usually do, right? So a person that do any level of crime gonna understand the unknown, and because you've been doing unknown stuff that people ain't know you was doing. Unbelievable stuff. You've been doing unbelievable stuff. Okay, so it's nothing for you to turn around and think somebody else is doing this against you, because you are aware of the element of conspiracy, being a criminal, conspiring yourself against the community or conspiring against others. You know what I'm saying? So you understand because you've been a part of conspiracy. See, once you've been a part of some type of conspiracy, you know, to do this, to do that, you know, you start getting into this underworld of understanding a whole different world that don't exist to some people. At least it don't exist to the level that it exists with you. You understand a little more about conspiracy, people plotting and scheming, because you done kind of done it yourself to a certain degree. Okay, so you're not gonna doubt it like the next man. You're gonna navigate way better because you already see the whole world that they can't see. And that's another thing. Once you've done crimes, now you can see the crime world in the the splendor that is really in. You know, you can see it out here in the streets. You can see people, you can see the game. You can see a woman selling her body. And another old woman might not even recognize that's what she's doing. It'd have to be more blatant. You can see a prostitute jumping in and out of cars, and I know that's what she's doing. Because I know that world. I can see that world. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing with gang stalking. You see somebody, I can see, you know, you can see what they're doing. Because you understand these little worlds right in front of us. Just like a woman selling her body. I mean, if I see her long enough and I see a woman going up and down the street, she get in one car, then the same woman come back and she get on the same street, and she walking up and down the street. I know she tricking. I know that's what she doing. All I gotta do is see a pattern. You know what I'm saying? I might get a benefit of the doubt. You know what I'm saying? Just to be a good person. I ain't gonna say, oh, that's a trick. Me, so in most cases, because it ain't a threat anyway. So, I might not even say that until if I see you more, the rhythm of it, oh, okay, she tricking. You know what I'm saying? And some people got a niche for it, some people don't. Some people think, oh, that's a nice person. She a nice woman. She been around here all day. Don't see nothing. So I'm not one of those people. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, I can see conspiracy. I can see the games that people play. In broad daylight. You know what I'm saying? That's how you gotta be. So with that being said, I'm not just saying something that I don't know nothing about, that I can't talk about intelligently, because my whole thing is this. I don't talk about nothing I can't talk about intelligently. You know what I'm saying? That I don't know for sure. I don't talk about anything I can't talk about intelligently. I don't know for sure. I know this for sure. Based on my intuition, based on me being able to see how people move and seeing the game, and me having conspired in crimes myself. You know what I'm saying? I know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So they can't make me feel like I don't know what I'm tripping. You know what I'm saying? Because I already understand conspiracy. I already understand crimes. I already understand that underworld of psychology. You know what I'm saying? And this is how we really know who's real and who's not. See, some of these rappers. I mean, I'm not saying they ain't real. You know what I'm saying? As of now, but I think you should be talking more about these conspiracies and intuition, because these are things that these lame boys can't fake. They can't even fake it. They can't even try to fake it. They can't even talk on these subjects. This is where we separate those who really haven't done nothing in the streets or don't know nothing about the streets at all. You know what I'm saying? They don't know how to navigate. Because you got some kids that ain't been in the streets, but they can go in a bad neighborhood and know how to navigate. They know how to move. So then you got to leave room for them type of people that done lived in the hood, even though they ain't done crimes, but they know intuition. They know how to move in the streets. Just like your mom, your aunt, your aunties, all of these people, they ain't really doing no crimes, but they know how to move in. They street smart. They know certain things. They know how to move in the street. They use their intuition. And they grow on it just like we do. Okay, so a whole black family, a street person's going, when you start talking about intuition in the streets, he gonna look at it from either the criminal or the family perspective, where your family can use intuition in the streets. He ain't gonna tell you ain't in the streets and you can't talk about it, because he got a whole ghetto family that moves and navigates in the ghetto. So they all gonna talk about it, whether they move in the streets or not. So your whole family gonna be talking about it. You ain't gonna be saying, oh, you shouldn't be talking about it, because everybody navigating in the streets. Everybody navigating in neighborhoods where you gotta use intuition. And as long as you've been doing that, long as you've been through some things where you have been subject to crimes and everything like that, you have the right to be able to speak on these street situations. Yes, you do. That's just like a whole black family. Your family gonna be talking about it. You come in the house talking about something being done outside, your whole family, it's gonna be a family conversation. So then, so somebody that's truly indeed from the hood is gonna leave the door open for black family or ghetto family or black people to talk on these subjects, as opposed to other people think you gotta be qualified. And that's how we know they not from the hood, because your whole family gonna be talking about it. You ain't gonna try to qualify your family. They right here with you. So they begin to understand intuition as well and catch without even being in the streets. So somebody from the ghetto gonna let everybody talk about it. If we black, if we in these neighborhoods, and if we've been around it or something, we ain't trying to think, oh well, this person got to be a street person to talk about this. That's white America. That they gonna say that. But you gonna say anybody around these neighborhoods gonna be able to see what's going on, And so I'm gonna listen to everybody. I might gain something from my family, and I'm the one selling drugs. They might tell me a little something. We gonna grow from each other. And I'm gonna grow from my mother. If she ain't never sold drugs, I'ma still listen to her street intuition. Right or wrong. She may have never sold drugs in her life, but she the one brought you into the hood. That part. She brought you into the hood. So, but she never sold drugs, but she got intuition, don't she? Cause she been here long enough to use it, to see what things are and what's really going on. You know, so that's who's qualified to talk about these things. Cause you got these people that these new street nerds that act like the only people gonna talk about it is criminals, but the whole ghetto family gonna talk about it. Whole ghetto families that's living in any vicinity of criminals is gonna be talking about this. And intuition. You know what I'm saying? So that settles it, man. You know, because people on the internet, you know what I'm saying, they think, hey, that ain't no certified. And I like, come on, man, them lames, man. That's how we know you ain't ghetto, because if you was ghetto, your whole family be talking about this kind of stuff. Yeah. Your little cousins and them gonna be talking about stuff. You gonna hear them talking about, think about it, you gonna hear them talking about stuff. Yeah, I was around there the other day, and you listening like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Because now you got the new generation coming up, and the old head and the OG got to listen to the new generation, because they cutting edge. You know what I'm saying? They young and out here. See, that's the thing about me. I listen to young people too. Yeah, because times change. Things change in the streets. Things change in the streets, and people energy change in the streets. And the main thing I be looking for is from generation to generation, they get more cold-hearted. You know what I'm saying? And they more harder. They get crazier. You know what I'm saying? So I pay attention to how people moving now. You know what I'm saying? And you adjust to it, because so now you know how quick people are on the draw, because that's basically what it's all about. Times get worse and people get more quicker on the draw, meaning quicker to pull a gun, quicker to pull a weapon. That's the only change. The game is the game. The game is going, you know, people selling crack, that's been going on. People selling drugs and shooting. So what's the difference between now and then? From the 90s to now is that people are quicker on the draw. They quicker to shoot people than they was in the 90s. They quicker to go to war. They quicker to do everything. So when you pay attention to the young kid, you see the quickness. You know what I'm saying? That how we wouldn't usually do stuff, they gonna do it. How quick they are to think this way, we wouldn't think that way that quick. And that's how you stay up to date. You know what I'm saying? That's how I do. That's how I stay up to date. I pay attention to these youngins and how they carry themselves and everything like that. And that's how I stay up to date with what's going on in the streets. Because I already know the pattern. All I got to do, somebody know the pattern, just sit back and watch young people and see how they navigate. You know what I'm saying? Why people think we can't get nothing from them. You can get new intuition, how this stuff moving out here. You can get that. That's for sure. See, some of these arrogant old heads just sit back and act like they got it all over these youngins, but these youngins are in the street. These youngins out here in the street, right? So he gonna know how to navigate now. He gonna know how to navigate in the streets now, and how people, what's acceptable now and what's going on now, right? So I'm gonna soak up game from young people, and I'm gonna soak up game from old people. Not just one factor. Old people and OGs, I'm gonna soak up game from these youngins, because they out there. You know what I'm saying? They out there now. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference between me and other people as far as intuition, who I soak up game from. You know what I'm saying? That's why if you really watch these OGs, man, they always keep some young dudes around. And why do you think they do that? Because the streets is, them young dudes gonna tell you what's going on right now. They gonna tell you how to move. They gonna tell you the slang, the new slang everybody's saying and everything. They gonna be in vogue with everything that's going on. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you'll see real OGs always have some youngins around them. You know what I'm saying? Because if they smart, because they gonna see how the streets move. They gonna tell you how the streets move. They gonna tell you how you gonna see their mentality, and you gonna know you're gonna be just as quick on the draw as the streets is now. You know what I'm saying? Because you've been around them youngins. Now you gonna reflex way quicker with what's going on. Your reflex gonna be better. You know what I'm saying? That's why I watch young and old. You know what I'm saying? As far as that go. So with all that being said, man, it's a whole world of this, and this is what white America or many people that's not from any parts of the streets. That's how I put it. You don't know. You don't really know about this whole world of conspiracy. You know what I'm saying? That's why we wind up talking about. We can see what these police and politicians are doing, and they can't stand it because see, they know we got intuition. You know what I'm saying? They know we got it. You know what I'm saying? Now, like I said, some people are better at it than others. You know what I'm saying? Some people ain't that good at it. And that's where you get the best. You get different ranks of this stuff. Like I said, though, if it was somebody that, was not, that was played with for too long, you can't read that person anymore because that person could be crazy. I'm gonna give him a pass. If you've been playing with his mind for over 5 years, I ain't thinking nothing about what that man is thinking because you done played with him too long. This is in their world. That's why they look corny to me, because I could be crazy from all the stuff I've been through. I'm just saying, I could have lost my mind. I could be overly self-conscious. I can give you a million reasons why I can move the way I move and and if I'm guilty, I can make it make sense. I mean, intellectually, if they think they got you, because all they trying to do is prove something's in your mind. You know what I'm saying? They trying to prove that, right? So, but I can show you how it will be valid to most people that got highest levels of intuition and highest levels of discernment. They gonna say, well, all he been through, he could be crazy at this point. So how you gonna read him? He done been through too much for you to read him. And he already know what you're doing. So if he already know what you're doing, he already done showed you he know what you're doing. He could be crazy. He could be self-conscious. You're not going to get a good read on this person. It's a waste of time. See, how it's supposed to be, I'm not saying I would do that, but how it was supposed to be is that you get a read on the person within the first couple of months. You ain't gonna ever find that person to be a pedophile 5 and 6, 7 years later when he already know what you're doing. Think about that. Why he gonna make that mistake? You feel me? Even intellectually or physically, he already know what you're doing. I done mastered what you're doing. So why would I make that mistake? I'm not gonna make that mistake. That's other people coming in hoping I make mistakes. So see, this situation of reading people per se, has become a game. Now that's the punchline. This has become a game for certain individuals, right? It's become a game for certain individuals, right? And so you understand that it ain't just as innocent as it may seem, where they just trying to see who you are. They want you to make mistakes. They want you to make the mistakes. So that's where the plot thickens, because they throwing stuff at your head to make you look guilty. And then the satanic kingdom too is coming in, if you understand real spirits, and they're trying to make you look guilty. So then you have to learn at this point the art of war, which is what Sun Tzu taught, which is, if I know my enemy that is playing these psychological games, and I know myself, which is I'm an innocent person, I'm a pure person, I don't need to fear the outcome of any battles, because I'm going to win because I know myself and I know what they're doing. See, that's the wisdom of Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu said, if I know my enemies and I know myself, I need not to fear the outcome of 100 battles, because I know what they're already doing and I know who I am. Sun Tzu also said, you can't be delicate in honor. Don't be delicate in honor, which means the least thing you think you falling apart and you ain't a righteous person. The least thing, you think you messed up. You can't be delicate in honor. That's one of the woes of a general. That's what Sun Tzu taught, is to be delicate in honor. Your honor, you're too delicate in honor. You got to be hardcore in honor, which means I don't care what crossed my mind. I know I'm not delicate in honor where I'm going to think I just fell apart and I done something wrong. You know what I'm saying? Especially with all these different things going on, me knowing my enemies, and I know the stuff they doing, and I know myself. So, you know, I ain't gonna ever be delicate in honor anyway. You know what I'm saying? That's what it takes psychologically to win. You can't think, oh, I just had a bad thought, I want to kill myself. That's delicate in honor. That's how they gonna knock off a lot of people. Because you ain't gonna be able to live with the psychological war that they putting up against you. That's ideal for them. That you ain't gonna be able to make it through them throwing all these thoughts at your mind in these games. So you gotta be what Sun Tzu said, not delicate in honor. Which means no matter what crosses my mind, no matter if it seems like I made a mistake, oh, so what? I'm going forward. I'm gonna continue to move forward, and that's that. You know what I'm saying? You can't be delicate in honor because you're a human being. With that being said, your mind is not gonna be perfect. Your mind ain't gonna be perfect. It ain't gonna never be perfect. Your mind is never gonna be perfect. Those type of people that don't come from where we come from. So that's culturally speaking. It's not about race, it's about culture. Okay? So for me, I can break it down to culture, because culture is basically the customs of a people, the practices and the customs of a people. That's what a culture is. So our practices and customs are different from theirs, right? So we're gonna have different things. That's why everybody's supposed to add to each other. Good cultures supposed to add to one another all around the world. We're supposed to take our cultures and put them together and we add to each other. That's how it's supposed to go. But a lot of times our cultures separate each other because of our worldviews. You know what I'm saying? And if I see you lacking and I see you ain't up to par, with your culture, like these white folks coming out here goofy and everything from their culture, using intuition, and we've been on that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna body you, I'm gonna handle that, and I'm gonna take care of it. And then, and you're gonna be called arrogant and lacking. That's what they're doing now. Because see, you came out here, you wasn't aware that black people, we're second to none when it comes to intuition, real intuition. So when you use them white boys and police and you bring all of them out here and you don't think we know nothing about it, you listen. You should know the intuition of an African is gonna be very strong. I'm gonna know exactly what you're doing. Now see, in America, you can go and like here, you can make people, you can gaslight people and make them feel like they tripping and they crazy for thinking these things. But you can't tell that to a street person because he already know the level of conspiracy that's in the world. He already understands conspiracies is all the world is, really, to a certain degree. You got all these wars that's going on. You got secret wars. You got secret wars going on right now. You know what I'm saying? And that's all it's about. Wars is all about conspiracy. That's how you stay under the radar from your opposing enemy, is to conspire. You know what I'm saying? And to stay under the radar to do things that they don't know you're doing. So once you understand what war is and you become militant minded, you understand conspiracy to war is like a fork to a spoon. It goes together. Conspiracy goes with war. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is, because your enemy can't know what you're doing. Your enemy can't know what you're doing, right? Okay, so then you're going to conspire. This is even in war. War is all about deception, as people say. So with that deception is conspiracy. You know what I'm saying? So when you understand that, see how you beat the Americans is they so arrogant. They think they the only ones. When they do get to a certain level of intuition, they think they're the only one that's got it. So you gonna if you just let them play it like that, you play it cool and let them think you crazy or whatever they think, or let them think you tripping, right? Let them think that. See, you gotta discipline yourself to let them think that, right? Because that's gonna be self-sabotage in the end for them. If you sit up and doubt me and doubt my intuition, and you stupid and think I don't know nothing, but you think I'm crazy, good. Think that. I want you to think that. You just sabotaged yourself. That's why they slept on me the whole time, and they didn't even know what I knew, because you in your arrogance as the Americans, they are very arrogant people. They will sit up and paint you like you don't know nothing. And how I conclude that is because of how you behave in your actions towards me, like I'm stupid, like I'm an amateur. You do low level one-on-one amateur moves that ain't nowhere near a chess move at all. It ain't got nothing to do with a chess move. I make chess moves, man. You know, I don't play checkers. I play chess, right? So these little amateur moves, I mean, I can easily see that. You know what I'm saying? And that's based off of my intuition. That's based off of me. That if I ain't getting nothing from the streets, because people will say, yeah, all these thugs and they ain't got nothing to show for it. All these so-called gangsters. I tell you what I got to show for it. I got intuition that you don't have about all these Americans. I got intuition. I got intuition to survive and you don't. You know what I'm saying? You don't understand none of this stuff that's going on. And many of y'all are being betrayed by your own family. And you know what? You know, the only ones that's going to survive their own family is the ones that understand the elements of conspiracy. They the only ones going to survive. If you one of them people that, you know, you don't believe that your family would do this to you, you're going to be left behind, bro. They're the main ones. They the main ones conspiring against you. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you're going to get, once again, you're going to get more game, you're going to get more understanding. And when you get betrayed by your family, it's a gift in disguise. Because now, when you find out people conspiring, it don't even break your heart. All you need for it to happen is to one person in your family. Once your heart get broken, it's over. Now you the full soldier. Now you get betrayed and it don't even matter. It don't even hurt you. It don't even do anything to you at all. Because you've been betrayed by your family. Once you get that, with the intuition and all of that, you know what I'm saying? You see the same signs. You see people betraying you, turning their back on you, or doing little stuff, but you thought they was with you. I mean, you ain't even gonna be brokenhearted. It's gonna roll off your back like water off a duck back. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically how I am. And you go through relationships too, where people betray you or failed relationships, even failed relationships. When people fail you, it don't mean nothing to you because you done been married before. Marriage to a man is boot camp with human beings, you know, period. If you've been a married man, you're going to have intuition. You're going to have understanding on how evil people are. If you've been married and you got a failed marriage, ask any man that done been married and his marriage failed. Intuition on point. People understand people through and through. You can't tell a married man about people because he has had time to really examine another human being in a marriage, right? So he understands people very well because, like I said before, once I know myself and I master myself, I've mastered everybody else because you're human. That's why we find it so despicable that people will even come out here talking about what people doing to these kids. And I know you're not perfect yourself. You know how I know? Because I know your mind is not perfect towards children. Even though you might not have sex with children, I know your brain ain't perfect towards children. That's something that human beings understand. Okay, it's not that we would have sex with children, but is your mind perfect? No. You know how I know? Because your mind is not perfect in any area. No area. But that's a code among humanity that we don't break. We know our mind is not perfect. Your mind is not perfect. But I know you ain't gonna do nothing to no children. That's it. You know what I'm saying? But those who have stepped over these boundaries of human beings, humanity, to play with our minds and to question our humanity, that's who needs to die. Because they're not human to us. They broke codes of humanity that we all have of imperfection and playing on our imperfections. Playing on your imperfection and the imperfection that we all have, right? That person dies. You see that part? Why they think it's no reason for them to die. I can give you a handful of reasons why they should be dead. These secret society people and Freemasons and all that, I can give you a handful of reasons why they should be dead. The main one is breaking the code of humanity by way of imperfection, playing on a man's imperfections. You know what I'm saying? Every man is imperfect, okay? But playing on it is death. That's like me playing around my uncle or you know what I'm saying? And I know he's not perfect, but I'm just keep poking him because, you know, you see what I'm talking about? Intellectually or whatever, and I'm just looking for imperfections. Eventually, he gonna kill you. Think about it. That's what I'm saying. So, that's how we look at it. And the main reason he will want to kill you, because he knows as a man that have mastered himself, you are the same. That's what's indigestible. I can see if Freemasons was perfect. I can see if Illuminati was perfect or police were perfect. They're not. And so they're like us. Now, with that being said, that's death. Because you're just the same, and you came up and played with somebody else intellectually, and you just deserve to die for it. Because we know your mind is, if not, your mind is dirtier than ours. Now imagine digesting that type of person. And you know what made them like that? America made them like that. Where they think they can come up here, I'm dead serious. Knowing their mind ain't perfect. They already know that. But they gonna come and try to see your mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is undigestible. It's indigestible. You can't digest somebody that mind is just as dirty as yours for that person to come challenge you. You want to kill them for that reason. Okay? And we do it by God's means, by spiritual means. That's what we gonna do. I don't let nobody judge me and you. You put your pants on one time in the leg like me. The only way you're gonna judge me is if you find me doing a crime in reality out here. That's the only thing I'm gonna be subject to. But to sit back and watch my whole entity and try to find imperfections is death. Nobody should be doing that to you. It don't matter what it's about. Let me clarify that. It's too many pedophiles that's registered as sex offenders. Too many kids done got sexualized, right? For me to care about one individual. That's me as a prophet. It's a drop in the bucket. Even if he's guilty, it's a drop in the bucket to what is already going on. Including you marrying children. You marrying children and you think, I'm going to use my intuition to see who this person is. It don't make sense. You see what I'm saying? That's how the white culture is goofy. You know what I'm saying? When you marrying children and you out here talking about pedophiles. That's goofy to a man of my caliber. It's goofy. You know what I'm saying? New York was marrying children too. They were marrying children right here in New York. Now imagine some New Yorkers trying to see me. And I know this about you. See, this is how white people in their culture kept the upper hand against us as black people. Because we remained uneducated. Because once we got out of high school, we ain't want nothing to do with, it was like a cat getting a bath. Once we got out of that tub, we ain't want to never go back. It's like a cat getting in the bathtub. That's what happened. That's how we look at education. We don't find it interesting. We don't have any interest in most education. And that's why we remain ignorant and they kept the upper hand. Instead, for me, I went and educated myself. And once I realized America was marrying children in America, right? Not in another country. Here, marrying children. Listen, buddy, it fell, all your integrity fell down right before my very eyes like a house of cards. Ain't no way in the world. It changes everything for you to have married children this whole time. Okay? You don't get to do nothing. You don't get to do nothing. It just destroys your whole justice system and everything. So I'm gonna give you a reason why. Okay. So in California, for perfect example, they made new laws to marry children in California, right? July 1st, 2019. That's under 18, right? But the age of consent in California is 18, which means if you have sex with a girl outside of marriage in California, you will be arrested for statutory rape, right? So if she's under 18, right, then in California, and you have sex with a girl that's 17, 16, 15, even 17, you're going to jail for statutory rape, right? Right. However, in the same state, you can marry a child under 18. But outside of a marriage, you go to jail as a pedophile. But in a child marriage, you're not defined as a pedophile in the same state. So the guy that's in a child marriage with a child in California, the child is obviously going to be under 18. He gets to have sex with the child and not get arrested. While this other man that has sex with the same age of child, 17, he goes to jail for it. In the same state now. How is that a justice system? There is no absolute right and there's no absolute wrong. You can't have no justice system that doesn't have an absolute right and an absolute wrong. You can have corruption and everything else. And if you're not smart, you will think this is corruption. This is not corruption. Corruption by definition is something that was good and now it's bad. That's corruption. Corruption has to first be good and then bad. This is not corruption. So then the element of corruption doesn't even apply in this situation. What it is a term that I coined. I coined this term. It's an invalid legal system. And because if one man is arrested for having sex with a girl that's 17, but another man can marry a girl the same age, but he's not defined as a pedophile. Okay? So that's an invalid legal system. It's not valid because you don't have an absolute right by definition in judgment of situations. You don't have an absolute wrong by judgment of situations because you judge it that he can marry the same girl, 17, and this other dude gets arrested. How is that a valid legal system? You can't find me no country that has an invalid legal system where one guy gets the rights to do something by law and the other guy gets arrested for doing the same thing. Literally, it's defined in details as the same thing. How is that a valid legal system? This is how far racism went. Racism went so far, America doesn't, as far as them do white supremacy, to do whatever they want to do, right? American supremacy even. There's two, white supremacy and American supremacy. They both, you can say both went that far to where they got an invalid legal system. That's how far America went. Show me another country. This is some homework for you. Show me another country that has an invalid legal system. Now, in order to find an invalid legal system, you have to show, this is what you got, this is what qualifies it. You have to show me where one guy has the right to do something and another guy gets arrested for doing the same thing. Go find me another country that has that. I didn't say, see, for the amateurs that don't play chess, I didn't say go find me another country having sex with children. I didn't say that. That's what you're thinking. No, I didn't say that. I said go find me a country that gives the right for a man to have sex with a child, but the other guy in the same state gets arrested for doing the same thing. It's the same age of child. So you can't say it's wrong in nature. It's not wrong to you by nature because you're letting someone else do the same thing. So then for you to define it as morally wrong by arresting this guy, but letting the other guy do it in America is an invalid legal system. And so this is how we truly were supposed to collapse America is by condemning the legal system, the system as invalid. You can't, listen, if you go to Brazil, they have the age of consent at 14. This is how we're going to get rid of the amateurs, because all they're going to talk about is what other people do in other countries, right? Okay, so in Brazil, you can have sex with a 14-year-old girl. But Brazil is not turning around and incriminating other people for any other reason that's interacting with a 14-year-old girl. They understand that that's what they're doing, right? Right. So it's not an invalid legal system because it's an absolute right and an absolute wrong. Okay, we have sex with 14-year-old girls, right? So you ain't gonna find us playing with nobody in public. You ain't gonna find nobody in Brazil being played with. about some 14-year-old girls when we know we having sex with them. You see what I'm saying? That's by the public. The public ain't gonna be playing in Brazil, oh, you having sex with a 14-year-old girl and we gonna gang stalk you. And that's the law in Brazil to have sex with 14-year-old girls. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. My beef with America is that you will give rights to one man to have sex with a child and arrest the other one. And that's the element that you're missing. You think you listen, if you're not smart, you don't see how I got him. I got him because it's an invalid legal system. You can't listen, in no legal system can you give rights to one man to do something and then the other guy gets arrested. Make it make sense, bro. Because what people are going to conclude is that morally, for why you're locking this one guy up, it's invalid because you don't see it that way with this other guy that's marrying a child that's the same age. Now show me in Brazil where one guy has sex with a 14-year-old girl, but another guy gets arrested for having sex with a 14-year-old girl in Brazil. It's not going to happen because they already concluded that that's good. They ain't going to say it's bad over here and good over there. In all of Brazil, they've already concluded it. So that's not an invalid legal system. An invalid legal system in Brazil would be one guy get to have sex with a 14-year-old girl, and for whatever reason, somewhere in there, some other guy gets arrested for having sex with a 14-year-old girl. You ain't gonna ever see that happen. So they don't contradict themselves. They don't have an invalid legal system. It's not what is being done that makes it invalid. It's not having an absolute right and an absolute wrong. You have to have that in any legal system, right or wrong. It don't matter how bad the laws are, as long as there's no contradiction. So, for example, in Muslim countries, you might not disagree, you might not agree with their laws, right? You might think it's bogus. But it's not an invalid legal system because they have an absolute right of what they perceive to be right and what they perceive to be wrong. Whether the laws are extreme or not, we're not talking about that. See, an amateur ain't gonna get it. We're not talking about the extremity of laws or how bad they are or how good they are. We're talking about what makes a legal system invalid is in your legal system. I find in America, you have a contradiction. And you can't find me no other country. If you're not paying attention, you ain't gonna hear what I'm trying to show you. You're not going to find in another country a contradiction in laws. It's gonna be either this way or that way, whether you like it or not. But you ain't gonna see it this way and that way. In America, it's this way and that way. One guy marries a child, the other guy gets arrested for statutory rape. That's how stupid it is. They just slapped on laws and just did what they wanted to do. And now it don't make sense. It's an invalid legal system. Now you see what I'm saying. Now go. Now my homework to you is go to the Middle East and go look through their laws. Not what the laws are. We're not talking about what the laws are. In order to find an invalid legal system, I want you to go and find me a system that has a law to do something, and then the same law, how it's defined as good. In that same legal system, you find another law that says it's bad, and we're gonna arrest you for doing the same thing we gave another person right to do. Go find me another country like that. You ain't gonna find it, buddy. You're going to find that they either do something or they don't. And they ain't gonna give right to do something that they don't do. They ain't gonna arrest you for something that they do. In this country, you get arrested for something that they do. You get arrested for something that they do. The details is what you're looking at. Because the details is what you're looking at for you to say, okay, the Americans think this is good. are moral. The details of this is okay. The details is under 18, I can interact with that sexually. They saying that's good, right? Okay, you can't turn around and say it's bad. Those details are bad over here in the same state, and we're going to arrest you with the same details that this other guy got. They got the same details going on. They both having sex with 17-year-old girls in California, right? One gets married, the other gets arrested. That's the same details. How you getting arrested with the same details he got? He got the same details. How you don't get labeled as a pedophile and it's the same details as a pedophile? He marries a child. So what we call him? He ain't a pedophile. So the guy that marries a child, just because of how he done it, they're telling you you're a pedophile if you don't marry the child. But the insinuation is you're a pedophile because the child is too young, right? That's what it's supposed to be. Not that how you did it, whether you married the child or not. The definition of a pedophile should be the child was too young, right? Okay, but then the definition of this guy that marries a child that's young, he's not getting that same definition now, is he? No, he's not. He's not getting the same definition. He's not getting demonized as a pedophile, is he? He's marrying a child. He's not getting looked at as a sex predator, is he? No, that's an invalid legal system. And that's how I beat the Americans. Because you thought I was just talking about children, child marriage, and pedophile. No, how I bodied them, the conclusion is you don't have a valid legal system. You can imagine you make a legal system yourself now, where one guy gets arrested and the other guy has the rights to do the same thing. It's the same details. Imagine that being considered a legal system, a valid system, where the country, your people can come and cry out for justice for an underage girl being sexualized. But they can't do it really, because it's a contradiction where another guy gets to do the same thing. So the community can't cry out for absolute justice if we see this one man marry a child. Well, how are we going to cry out for justice right there? We can't. We can't. It's legal to do. So how are we going to cry out for justice? So once you see that your country the community cannot cry out for justice and get justice in its proper definition, and they don't even understand what justice is, because in your country there's not an absolute right and wrong. So how can I cry for something and say it's supposed to be justice when it's looked at as good over here? So then I can't even cry out for justice because it's considered good over here. So how can I cry out to your system, your particular system, and say this is justice? I'm crying for justice to it, but how can you cry for justice to a system that think it's okay to do it? They think it's okay to sexualize a 17-year-old girl. So how you gonna cry out for justice? So how, if a legal system you can't cry out for justice in the legal system, it's invalid. You can't cry out for justice. The community can't come and cry out for justice. How they gonna do it? When on one hand over here you marrying the children, and then on the other hand over here, people feel, you arresting the man over here, but people cry out for justice for the child marriage and nothing is done. You know why nothing is done? You know why I can't cry out for justice and nothing is done? Because they have not classified it as wrong. And you get to the bottom of the matter and you realize pedophilia is not wrong in this country. That's why nobody's doing nothing about it. You know why nobody's doing nothing about it? Because we can't cry out for justice in an invalid legal system, because they have no absolute right and no absolute wrong. And so you can't cry out for justice in a system that doesn't have a right and a wrong. Because they're not going to agree with you. They're not going to agree with you. You cry out for justice. Oh, this happened and we want justice. They looking at you like, well, we got laws to marry children. Ain't no need to cry out for justice. We got laws to marry children over here. Low key, they ain't gonna do nothing about it. Low key, they don't really agree with you. Low key, they already showed that they pedophilias. They pedophiles. They proved it. What else more you need to see? But see, it's in your head that America is so moral and so good. That's what the prophet got to fight through. This idea that America is so good and grand and dandy. That's what I'm fighting against. This fake America in your head that we like the A-team for children. That we're like G.I. Joe for children. But you've been marrying children the whole time. So I got to crush all these fake images of America. And for some people, you're gonna die believing in a fake America, a false America that never existed. They've been marrying children since 1929, buddy. Since 1929. Now imagine you on top of that playing around my integrity, coming trying to see who I am, gotten all these people in my way trying to see me. And I'm this educated to know you've been marrying children as Americans. I'm supposed to be on your head like this. Are you? Absolutely. If you put a war against me, I'm putting a war against you. That's simple. Malcolm X would have did the same thing. You play with my integrity, and then we find out you marrying children. We going to war about it, buddy. We going to war intellectually. Because that's worse than bullets. You know what's worse than bullets? And other weapons harming you? I crush who you think you are. I snatch your soul by showing you married children. You listen, you can't come back from that. You dead inside. You dead inside knowing you've been marrying these children. Huh? You can't come back from that. You can try. This is how it feels being caught by a black man. You ain't getting out of that, buddy. Because I know and you know, listen, that's too much of a contradiction. Too much. It's one thing for you to do something as a kid and these corny people trying to act like it's bigger than life. It's another thing for you to be marrying children as young as 10 years old in America. So you can't act like it's just teenagers. They're going to act like it's just on the brink of an adult. But it's not. That's 7 hours. It's not on the brink of an adult, right? No. You marry children as young as 10 years old. How is that on the brink of an adult? So they're going to sell it to you like, oh, well, that's teenagers. Well, explain the 10-year-old girls in Tennessee, in the state of Tennessee. Explain the 10 years old girls in Tennessee that was married. Three of them. Not one of them. Three 10-year-old girls married in the 21st century. Not 1991. In the 21st century, in the millennium, they married 10-year-old girls. And you think my point is not being some advocate. My point is you deserve death for playing with my integrity. Now, if you're smart, you get my point. Now, if you're stupid, you think I'm some grand advocate for children. That's not what it is. What it is you play with my integrity and you contradicted yourself too sharply, as I like to say. Every man contradicts himself, right? But you can't contradict yourself too sharply. It'll prove fatal, right? You know, no man's perfect. But when you marrying children, you contradict yourself too sharply to survive. If you was imperfect, we wouldn't be having this conversation because I know you're imperfect. I know people gonna make mistakes. But marrying children, that's not a mistake. That's not a child not doing what they want to do and experimenting, playing games around with other children. That's not the same thing, little buddy. In fact, you was a grown man making these laws to marry children, wasn't you? Listen, buddy, listen. That's too much of a contradiction for us to live, for you to live. It's too indigestible. You can't digest that. Where it's a reality of somebody playing with somebody's integrity, playing with mine. We know they did it, right? Okay, and then we find you marrying children as Americans. I win, buddy. Checkmate. Checkmate. You can't marry children.
talking about no pedophiles. Okay? And that's where it's at. And you're not going to come back from it today, tomorrow, or any other day. It's nothing you're going to do. It's nothing you can do. You think it's a game? I don't see how. I don't see how. That tells me how goofy you are to think it's a game. To think I'm playing. Marrying children, you think I'm playing? What that says about you? For you to even think I'm not winning, what that say about you? For you to even think I'm in trouble, what that says about you? When they marrying children and I'm in trouble, you tripping. That's how you know I'm, and they gonna get me tomorrow. They gonna get me tomorrow, ain't they? They gonna get me tomorrow. Hey man, listen. How they gonna get me tomorrow? Huh? And they marrying children. See, if you were smart, you would have a seat. Have several seats, bro. Listen, you need to have several seats, bro. Have a seat. That's what you need to do. Sit down and have a seat, bro. Sitting up here marrying children, have a seat. Have a seat. Have several seats. A couple seats is two. More than two is several. Have more than two seats, buddy. Have several seats. We're gonna put three right there. You can just sit all on all of them. You can stretch out on all of them. That's how you're gonna have several streets. You're gonna stretch out on the seats, ain't you? That's 7 hours. Yeah, you can stretch out on them seats. Go ahead and stretch out on them seats, bro. Go ahead and stretch out on them seats, man.